When you start looking at handheld 3D scanners, the first thing you hear is save money, buy a cheap dongle and you'll be fine. I've seen a lot of people bite that line, only to end up with a device that can't even capture the details of a coffee mug without turning it into a blurry blob. That regret is real, and it's why I paused before hitting the add to cart button on this one. The Revopoint MIRACO is marketed as an all-in-one scanner that promises color capture, a built-in 2K display, and enough power to handle anything from a tiny figurine to a medium-sized sculpture. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest question for anyone new to 3D scanning is, will this thing actually work in my everyday environment? The MIRACO is a handheld unit that you can carry around like a small tablet. It runs on a decent processor and has a built-in screen, so you don't need a separate laptop to see what you've captured. In practice, that means you can set it up on a kitchen counter, point it at a piece of hardware, and see a live preview right there. The flexible capture claim isn't just marketing jargon, it really does let you rotate the object or move the scanner around it and still maintain a decent mesh. For someone who wants to scan a tabletop game piece or a small prototype on the fly, that live feedback is a huge time saver. The color capture is another headline feature. Most budget scanners only record geometry and leave you to texture the model later in software. The MIRACO's camera grabs a full-color image at 2K resolution, which can be directly exported as a textured mesh. I tried it on a vintage watch with a patina finish. The resulting model retained the brass tones and reflected the subtle engravings, which saved me an hour of manual texture work in Blender. If you're a hobbyist who wants to showcase objects in VR or create realistic renders, that color fidelity is a clear advantage over many entry-level competitors. Now, let's talk about the practical limitations. The device is portable, but it's not a pocket-sized scanner you can toss into a jeans pocket. It feels more like a small tablet with a protruding lens. That size makes it easy to set up on a desk, but if you plan to lug it around the job site all day, you'll need a dedicated bag and a power supply. The battery life is decent for a few scans, around 2 hours of continuous use, but you'll quickly run into the need for a wall outlet if you're doing a day's worth of scanning. For a studio environment where power is readily available, that's fine. For a fieldwork scenario, you might have to carry an extra power bank. One hidden trade-off is the learning curve. The on-screen UI is intuitive enough for basic captures, but getting a clean scan of complex geometry still requires patience. The scanner uses structured light, which means it projects a pattern onto the object and measures the deformation. Highly reflective or transparent surfaces, like glass or polished metal, can confuse the sensor, resulting in holes or noise in the mesh. I found that a matte spray on a shiny object helped, but that adds an extra step for anyone expecting a pure plug-and-play experience. Who should buy the MIRACO? If you're a maker who frequently 3D prints parts, a designer who needs quick visualizations of physical objects, or a teacher looking to bring tangible 3D scanning into a classroom, this unit lands in a sweet spot. Its ability to capture color and display the mesh instantly means you can iterate on a design, print it, and scan the printed part for fit checks without ever leaving the workstation. For small-scale product designers who need to digitize prototypes on the go, the built-in HD display eliminates the need for a separate monitor, tightening the workflow. On the flip side, if you're a professional scanning service that demands sub-millimeter accuracy on large industrial parts, the MIRACO will feel underpowered. Its accuracy, while respectable for hobbyist use, isn't measured in the product literature, and the lack of a high-resolution reference point means you'll likely need to do post-processing to clean up the data. Similarly, if you're primarily interested in scanning large objects like furniture or automotive components, the handheld nature and the reliance on a relatively close range, a few centimeters to a couple of decimeters, will make the process cumbersome. Another practical weak point is the software ecosystem. Revopoint provides its own app, which handles the capture and basic mesh editing, but the export formats are limited to common types like OBJ and STL. If you're accustomed to a specific pipeline, say, Using PCL for point cloud processing, you'll need to invest time in converting files and possibly dealing with data loss. The lack of a robust SDK also means you can't easily integrate the scanner into custom automation workflows. For most hobbyists, this isn't a deal breaker, but for developers who need a programmable interface, you'll feel the restriction. Overall, the